Professor, primeiramente, parabéns. Quero parabenizar também a ENAP por esse evento. Meu nome é Carlos Vinicius e, salvo engano, pela primeira vez eu vejo uma iniciativa tão marcante em uma escola de governo trazer exatamente uma pauta como a de governo centrado em liberdade, né? E eu vejo que, para além dos desafios de liberdade econômica, de modo mais amplo falando, eu vejo que é uma necessidade clara de transformação cultural em nossos organismos, principalmente públicos, e a partir daí todos os outros setores também da sociedade. Me refiro, posso destacar um dos aspectos, apesar, como o senhor citou, o Joaquim Nabuco, né, nós temos uma necessidade grande, por exemplo, no Brasil, de liberdade educacional. Falou-se exatamente sobre a importância de transmitirmos aos nossos filhos a geração a respeito de educação sobre liberdade, quando, por exemplo, as famílias hoje não têm liberdade, até mesmo de educarem seus filhos, se assim elas quiserem. Trago uma pauta que é defendida até no atual governo. Temos aqui a secretária Ângela que endossa isso a respeito da liberdade educacional, de, por exemplo, os pais poderem educar os seus filhos em casa, né? O homeschooling, que é uma das marcas e indicadores, inclusive, medidos internacionalmente. Então, gostaria de ouvir um pouco a respeito da integração de todas essas outras frentes de liberdade que temos como desafio no nosso país, mas aquilo que também é enfrentado nos outros países a respeito de como a liberdade educacional e tantas outras frentes cooperam de modo mais significativo na transformação cultural de um país para os benefícios que são alcançados e assim por diante. Obrigado.
Well, those are deeply important questions, and I do think freedom to choose education is as important or not more important than freedom to choose the food you want to eat. It's really centrally important. One thing to think about in this context is to distinguish two roles of government and education that are possible. One is to deal with the financing, the other is the production. And those really are different functions. So if you have a system in which even people who are very poor have a state funds to pursue the education of their children, it does not follow the state has to produce the education. Same thing as funding people for buying food. We don't want to have government cafeterias and government restaurants having a monopoly on food production. If you separate those out, you should be able to have a market that allows people to choose different things. And in a pluralistic society, Brazil is a very, very pluralistic society. You have people from all over the world came here, an indigenous population. It's amazingly variegated society. People might have different desires. So some might want a religious education, and others want a non-religious education, or a Montessori approach for their children, or whatever it might happen to be. And I think we should have a competitive market in that regard. And it even goes so far as to homeschooling. This is a very important movement in North America. It's grown quite rapidly. And it caught the attention of people when homeschoolers were winning the national competitions. And so they would say, we have a spelling bee to spell these difficult words in English. English is a completely crazy, evil language because the spelling is unpredictable and insane. So the children memorize spelling. They have geography bee. They have mathematics. And when they announce the winners year after year, homeschooled, 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 it really changed the opinion of a lot of people who thought homeschooling meant you're just not going to learn anything. You're going to stay at home and just wash the dishes or something. So homeschooling has proven to be a very important addition, and sometimes it has a religious component and sometimes not. Usually there's a requirement for receiving a high school diploma that there's a standardized test that those students pass. And homeschoolers do quite well. They do better than the public school students by far. That's a reasonable thing that the state would say to receive the diploma, you have to pass a certain test. Okay, but the state doesn't mandate all the content or the provision of the education. And I think in a free and pluralistic society, and particularly one as variegated as Brazil, it's important to have that freedom. In some countries, Hungary, example, they have moved now with the very nationalistic government, they've effectively abolished that. And now all textbooks and all course plans come from the ministry in Budapest. Everything. Even under communism, they had more local control than they have now, because there were local school boards and so on. They've completely abolished it. All teachers, all principals, all school administrators, and every lesson for every hour of every day comes from Budapest. This is not going to end well. It's a very bad model, in my opinion. And having competition, pluralism is much healthier for the society. So, spot on.